This is Help Wanted, the show that makes your work work for you. I'm Jason Pfeiffer, editor-in-chief of Entrepreneur Magazine.
And I'm money expert Nicole Lappin. On Tuesdays, Jason and I answer the helpline and help callers solve their work problems.
And on Thursdays, I give you one way to improve your work and build a career or company you love.
And it starts now.
You want to be perfect. But come on, let's be honest. You are not. I mean, you try. You want your decisions to be correct. You want your interactions to go smoothly. You want people to trust you because they know you will always deliver. And most of the time you get it right. But this is also why you beat yourself up every time you get it wrong. Because when you screw up one thing, you feel like you screwed up everything because it undercut all the hard work and all the good decisions that had come before. Believe me, I know all about this. But I found a different way of thinking about it. What if you, me, what if we were supposed to screw up? And to appreciate why and what that means, I want to take you on a little trip to Google's fabled innovation lab, where you are going to find a framework that changes everything. It is a better way to think about problems. So, okay, I was recently listening to the podcast Star Talk. Maybe you've heard it. It's with Neil deGrasse Tyson. They talk about space and science and all that stuff. Anyway, the guest was a guy named Matt Ginsberg. Matt Ginsberg is an engineer at Google X, which is the company's moonshot factory, as they call it, which is to say it's the place where they try to come up with the biggest ideas to tackle the biggest problems. And Matt had come on the podcast to talk about AI. And one of the hosts asked this. They asked, how much should we trust AI? And Matt's answer was profound in ways I didn't expect. He said that the world breaks down into two kinds of problems. There are 5149 problems and there are 100 problems. And then he explained what that means. He said, in 5149 problems, being 51% right is good. So if you're playing the stock market and you can accurately pick stocks that are going up 51% of the time, you are about to be really rich. Then there are 100 problems where 51% is not good enough and even 99% is not good enough. If you're trying to shut down a nuclear reactor in an emergency, you really need the 100% answer. All right. So that was what Matt Ginsberg said on Star Talk. The point he was making was actually pretty specific to AI. He was saying that machine learning systems are great at 5149 problems, but not yet trustworthy with 100 problems. But as I listened to this, I thought, wait a second. Wait. This applies to all of us in every part of our lives. Why? Well, because most of our problems are 5149 problems. I mean, think of the last 3 times that you messed up and you either disappointed yourself or someone else. Here, I'll list mine. Number 1, I'm advising a startup founder who needed help on deadline, but it slipped my mind and I left him hanging. Number 2, I waited way too long to book holiday flights for my family and the cost went up nearly $1,000, even though my very understandably annoyed wife repeatedly asked me to do it earlier. And number 3, I let something slip in a conversation with a work friend and immediately realized I should have kept that to myself. All right, I felt bad about each of those. I want to be reliable, responsible, and trustworthy. Reliable, responsive, and trustworthy. And if anyone's keeping track, those moments dent my record of success. I could spend a lot of time ruminating on them. But you know what? I also realized each of these are 5149 problems. The startup advising, for example, I have been more helpful than unhelpful. The family needs, I'm usually on top of it. And the conversation with the work friend, I have had many better talks with that person. This is the beauty of the 5149 and 100 concept. It puts every outcome in a broader context where our actions today are weighed against our overall efforts. Every so often, life demands a perfect reaction. We face 100 problems where failure can cause irrevocable harm. But ask yourself, really, how many of your problems are actually 100 problems? Probably very few. Everything is rarely on the line. One screw up does not usually end everything. Most of our problems are 5149 problems. There is room for error. For example, my wife and I understand we cannot be perfect with each other. We will get things wrong. For this reason, our marriage does not rely upon perfection, because if that's the bar, it is unreachable. Now we have permission to mess up from time to time in all aspects of our lives. It is baked into our mutual understanding. Life is a game of 51-49. Now, let's not get too literal about this. I know what you might be thinking right now, which is if you are only good 51% of the time, that is bad. Like if you're only reliable to your wife 51% of the time, your wife is going to leave you. And this is true. I mean, let's not forget, this concept was created by an engineer. If I only make my wife 51% of the time, that might be a statistical success, but it is definitely a human failure. So fine, most things in our life are not literally actually a 51-49 problem. Maybe they're an 80-20 problem or a 90-10 problem. I don't know, pick your number. But the point is, don't treat 51-49 problems like 100-0 problems. You have permission to be wrong sometimes. And when you are wrong, understand that the person you wronged is not looking for perfection anyway. They're just looking for faith that you're still a good statistical bet, that you are always striving to be more right than wrong, more 51 than 49. That is why when I screw up, I tell someone my plan to improve. If I make the wrong call at work, for example, I tell people what I learned and how I'll apply it. Then, instead of lingering on the loss, I try to refocus on getting the next win. After all, in a life of 51-49 problems, the goal is to be more right than wrong, which means the more problems you face, the more chances you have of getting them right. And that came from my newsletter. It's called One Thing Better. Each week, one way to be more successful and satisfied at work and build a career or company you love. It's a companion newsletter to Help Wanted. If you listen to Help Wanted, you know that I also read them regularly here on the show, but you can subscribe to get those editions faster and also to learn about some awesome new things that I am building into One Thing Better, including office hours, Zoom office hours. Come join us for great conversation. It's part of the premium membership. Anyway, you can learn more at onethingbetter.email. Again, that is a web address. Just plug it on in, onethingbetter.email. Help Wanted is a production of Money News Network. Help Wanted is hosted by me, Jason Pfeiffer.
And me, Nicole Lappin. Our executive producer is Morgan Lavoie. If you want some help, email our helpline at helpwanted@moneynewsnetwork.com for the chance to have some of your questions answered on the show. And follow us on Instagram at Money News and TikTok at Money News Network for exclusive content and to see our beautiful faces. Maybe a little dance.
Oh, I didn't sign up for that.
All right, well, talk to you soon.